I think everybody that's going to be in person is in person, and everybody that's online is here. Call this meeting to order. It is March 20th. I am Susan Hingle. The Monroe County Women's Commission. The commission shall serve in an advisory role to assist residents, businesses, and the government of Monroe County in addressing issues of gender equity. The mission is to advance the status of women and marginalized genders in all areas of county life. I really didn't, did I? I didn't even send out the, I put it in the, anyway, sorry everybody. Is in the thing, and I sent it to Dina, but she must be out because she didn't respond even, and I didn't see it out there. What? Well, that explains a lot.
The agenda is posted on the site for today.
So. Today's is? Mm-hmm. Someone got it.
It looked yesterday and I didn't see it, but I didn't.
Yeah, I saw it today. So.
Well, sorry about that, everyone. Well, anyway, do I have a motion to, anybody not need the agenda that hasn't seen it? And if so, we're good, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We'll do a roll call since we have some online. Julie Hardesty?
Yes, I approve.
Molly Otto?
Yes.
Elton? Myself, I approve. Susan Hingle. Maria?
Yes.
Tiana? Eroge?
Yes.
Awesome. The agenda is approved. You sent out the minutes from last month?
I did. I did send them to Dina, though, so I'm not sure if they got posted, but I sent them to all of us. So,
are there any adjustments that need to be made? Nope. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from February 20th?
March 4th. No, February 20th. Sorry. I don't know what days. Yes.
Okay. February 20th?
I make a motion to approve minutes.
Do I have a second?
I second.
We'll do a roll call vote. Jennifer Belton. Molly Otto.
I approve.
Julie Hardesty.
I approve.
Maria Douglas.
Yes.
Tiana Roge.
Yes.
Susan. Oh, yes. That's for the minutes from February 20th. Commissioner updates. I have none. I'm sure things will come to me later, but right now, none. I will say, if you are curious why and we'll get that to later about why our meeting things are still on the agenda, it's because there were 2 incorrect dates, and so we have to do it again later and sign it, so it's fine. But anyway, yeah, no, Julie?
Okay. I think I'm probably going to have way too much to say today, but I do want to say happy first day of spring, whether or not it feels like it. And also happy Women's History Month, and let's go make some women's history now. So I'm vice chair this year, and what I'm interested in doing, I'm kind of wanting to see what you all think, but I'm interested in what information is available about the status of women in Monroe County. And it's been something I've maybe been kind of circling around a bit for a while, but I'm interested in digging into that a little bit, and I'm also interested in what information is not available. That's kind of the other side of it. And then the sources of any information, and if that's like community organizations or local or county government, state level or federal level, and if the information has been available and is removed or no longer made available. I think I'm kind of interested in looking at that as time goes on this year. I think there are some topics of information that seem like they're pretty easy to come by for Monroe County, such as wage gap for women, number of women-owned businesses, life expectancy, age group trends countywide, that sort of thing. I think those seem to be like they're going to be pretty easy to find, but there are other topics related to the status of women, like the number of women experiencing homelessness, number of women property owners, trends in contraception and miscarriage and abortion and birth support in the county, the number of women supporting children in the home, the percentage of women in elected positions, trends in childcare support, trends in gender affirming care, trends in postmenopausal health care, and topics that impact other marginalized genders. And those, I think, are going to be more difficult to get at. But things like that, I'm kind of interested to see what we can find out that can give us a way to share a fuller picture of the lived experience of marginalized genders in Monroe County than what we can share even as the members of the Women's Commission like we are. So I'm planning on researching a topic for each meeting and sharing what I'm finding or not finding. And if the information is available, I'm interested also in kind of documenting, sharing what the resources are out there that have this information. So if we can share that in the meeting minutes, so Molly, I can like send you links and things when we've got something to share. Then I think that over the course of this year would give us a snapshot of sorts for what we know about the lives of women and other marginalized genders in Monroe County in 2025 and how we know about it. So I think to end this, as a very basic baseline of information, at the federal level, the United States Census has a quick facts sheet on Monroe County, Indiana. So this is not just Bloomington, but it's all of Monroe County. And at the estimated total population of Monroe County as of July 1st, 2024, so that's July of last year, is 140,702 people. And they also estimate that of that population, 50.3% of that population is female. So that puts the estimate at 70,773 people are women. So the topics we'll be getting into impact more than half of the population in Monroe County. You can consider things that way. The topics we might not be able to find out anything about impact more than half the people in Monroe County. And the historic inequities that have existed for over 200 years since the founding of this county in 1818 now affect more than half the people in the county. So I'm not going to get into any particular topic today, but because I want to hear, I'm kind of interested to hear what you all think about this as a concept and what sorts of things you might think or you're considering are important to find out more about. But this is what I'd like to focus on for the remainder of my time as vice chair when I'm giving updates. So we can see where it takes us.
So I love the idea. I do see a lot of overlap between the data subcommittee, which is fine.
Yes.
Or whatever. I mean, which is.
Excuse me, ladies.
Yes.
One of the people watching the meeting brought to our attention that you guys now have a full quorum. One of the members here is not officially on your guys' board, and you need 5 members to actively have a quorum in person.
We need 4.
Quorum number is 4.
Yes.
Yes.
We have a 7-member board. We have 2 ex officios that are not voting members. So we have a quorum.
Okay, as long as you guys are sure, I just wanted to bring it to your attention that someone had brought it up. I just didn't want you guys to get too far ahead and have it all be for nothing.
Nope, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Who
No,
brought it up?
We won't
I'm
make
curious.
that mistake again.
We've already done that.
I'm curious about who brought it up.
It was one of the
Hello?
workers in the building. He just they noticed that there was
Is it Molly?
9 members, and they brought up that if there was 9 members, they were under the impression that there would need to be 5 active members in person.
Yeah, we're only 7 members. There's two ex officio, but only 7 voting members. So, yeah.
Understood. Sorry for the.
That's all right. Thanks.
Thank you. So, I mean,
Yeah.
one of the things, and I'll have to look at what you said, or if you have that written down, share it with me in that way, because
Yeah,
I'm happy, because obviously in one of the things that, I did, and when Kathleen and I would meet and talk about it, it's overwhelming to figure out how to paint that picture. And I'm curious about that number 2 that they say for census.
Yeah.
Because I know it's always one of those things, the numbers with the university and the numbers without the university, which I don't think I would also like to have that data, because obviously that number is definitely with the university, because we are
Yeah.
definitely, it's under 100, I think. Do you know off the top of your head? Yeah. That was like around 80.
I mean, there's 35 to 40,000 students on campus when school's in session, so yeah.
So,
It's from July of last year, so yeah. And the U.S. Census, they're doing estimates because it's not based for 2024. It's not based on the census taking that happened in 2020. It's a kind of an amalgamation of different sources to gather the yearly information that they have. So, and that was, I don't know what the exact sources are that they used, but that was what they were estimating based on those various sources. So,
do you think it would be nice, if possible, to me going forward, is to have, when we present, because it would be easy to figure out, is what is, the university, with the university and without the university as we present, because I feel.
Are you asking just about university and just the students, or university and women faculty and staff, or what are you considering university?
I'm considering, yes, students, temporary residents.
Okay, all right.
That's what I would consider probably in that number. That's not, I don't know. However, but whatever, just out of
yeah,
curiosity.
I mean, if there's a way to, we should be able to find out what the total number of students for sure, and within that, more than likely, we can see if we can find out the number of women, number of marginalized genders that are part of the student population. I'm not exactly sure how that's tracked or where, but we can look into it.
Sure, admissions or enrollment services or something like that would help you at IU.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, we can ask if they don't publish it, we can ask, but yeah.
Marginalized genders don't exist anymore.
I would ask institutional data. They'll give us the information. This is Tiana.
Yeah, that makes institutional data,
Okay.
the department. Her office, I think it's the office of. Well, and I know also a good place to start, and we haven't touched on that in a long time, and and I don't remember how old the data is somebody, one of the schools, classes in SPIA did a project for the Bloomington status of women a while ago, and we have that presentation. So that was also something to good look up.
Okay.
They did, I don't remember how old that data is, but that's a good, I just ran across it in our files, I think,
Okay.
to be honest.
Yeah, I'll take a look and see. If I can find
yeah. So, I mean, however,
Yes.
we can support each other. I would love to do that, because for me, has been overwhelming.
Yeah.
I like how you broke that down. It makes it easy in a sense. So,
Yeah, and then some of this, I think, is not necessarily going to be information that is current as of this year. Like, it might be information that we're looking at that's, 4 or 5 years old. That's the latest that we can get, so, yeah. Anyway.
no, I love it.
Julie, all that being said, I think it's a wonderful idea. I appreciate your rigor in looking into the actual status of women in Monroe County, and I totally trust your findings as far as data.
Thank you. I'm interested in seeing if we can develop a good source of citable places to look for this information too, which potentially is something that could be looked at again after 2025 and in future years as well, potentially.
I mean, there's a lot of sources out there for data, for sure. I mean, some of it just in the very minimum touched on things and have listed it in our spreadsheet, but it's like, yeah, it's a lot.
Yep.
Well, and I think defining status is important.
Yeah, yep. Yeah,
mean, 'cause
there's
it's
all
basic-
sorts of topics that are can be
Because basic
mixed in with that.
demographics is easy, but what is, I think status is I don't,
Right.
looking at the data and seeing what it tells about the women, which I guess, I don't know. Anyway, I love the idea.
You know which topic you're doing first?
I think I'm probably going to be looking at wage gaps for sure, because that was pretty like, boom, Google will tell you what our wage gap is. Like, that's pretty easy to come by. And then I'm contemplating grouping that in with some other information like the number of women-owned businesses and that sort of thing that gets kind of into economic status of women potentially. So we'll see how that comes together next time we meet.
Yeah, Julie, I think this is a really great idea too. As you were talking, I was thinking, I mean, it's something for the future. Maybe we can have like a dashboard somewhere. I don't know if it's our site or somewhere on one of the commission sites with this information, so you won't have to go to 5, 6, 7, 8 different places to get it.
Love it. Love, love.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see if that's something we can do within the Monroe County website setup. I don't quite know, but maybe it's possible.
Well, we definitely would be able to build it on Teams, on the share, in the
Teams.
shared drive.
Maybe,
and
yeah.
then figure out how, as the information's being compiled or however,
Okay.
and then figuring out how that could be
Okay.
shared beyond would be my thought.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, it's a good idea.
You have anything else for an update?
That was what I had for that. Thanks.
The only update that I have is that next month, we won't meet before it happens, but April is Healthcare Advanced Directive Month. The actual day that we celebrate is on April 16th. Healthcare directive set.
Ms.
I
Bell?
need you guys to speak right into your microphone because if not, it doesn't pick you up and you cut out.
Molly, the quiet talker. Ms. Belton.
I'm just looking at trying to do another health fair again. Just settling for some dates. Getting with the Monroe County, whatever place I work, to see what dates they have available for us to try this again.
So would that be through the health department?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Tiana, do you have any updates you'd like to share not listed on the agenda?
No, I'll share my stuff later, but nope, I don't have any updates I want to share.
Great, thank you. Maria, do you have any updates you would like to share?
Yes, so next week, the 27th, is the Women's History Month luncheon put on by the Bloomington Commission on Status of Women. And then also that day, big day, you guys, Women's History Month luncheon, and then later, come downtown to Asian Fest.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Asian Fest? When and where?
I thought
mean,
you'd never
not when,
ask.
Where? Time?
Yeah, no, yes, it's literally downtown, around the bus, Kirk Chumley. There's going to be booths with activities. There's going to be food trucks, and inside the bus, Kirk, there's going to be cultural, what do you call them? Like,
Activities?
not presentations and not activities. See, that's why I'm not there in person. I can't even think of words right now. Performances. Performances is the word. Oh my gosh. Cultural performances.
What
And
time
so
is
I
that?
believe it's like, yeah, I think it's like 5 to 7:30, 5 to 8 or something like that.
Okay. on the calendar. That's all I have. I'm gonna ask Councilperson Fidel if they have anything, updates that they would like to share with us at this time.
I don't think I do, although I was listening to the fact that you're doing these topics, which is very exciting. But I also remember years ago, the Bloomington Commission on the Status of Women used to do annual reports, and I don't know if you know anything about that or not.
I looked on their site, and what I see under documents is just agendas and minutes. I never
This
saw any
probably would have been
reports.
pre-internet, maybe. I don't know. We're talking quite a while ago, but I
Yeah.
do remember it. And I don't know if there are hard copies in
Yeah.
the city archives.
Okay.
You might check with the clerk's office, maybe, or
Yeah, I kind of thought since their committee is the status of women that they would do a report, something,
they
some sort of
used
report
to do
thing,
a
but-
very extensive report, and some of the things you mentioned were in that report and others. So I think, it might give you some. I don't know where they got their information from. I can't remember that, but I'm thinking of just the wage gap. I mean, that was kind of my field at one point, and I'm thinking of maybe the Bureau of Labor Statistics. There is an IU, Department of Labor Studies, that might be helpful and useful. So there's certainly some places to get information for sure. But
Yeah. A lot of the easier things, it's like there's information just available online. It's
Yeah.
already published and out
Right.
there. So yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I'd be interested to see if there are reports from the Bloomington Commission and if they covered just the city limits population or if it was broader than that. I don't know.
I think they expanded it to the county, if I'm thinking correctly. I could check with the previous city clerk if this city clerk doesn't know anything about it. I know the previous city clerk would know about it.
Okay.
She's still around here. I could ask her if you find that useful. If you can't find it, let me know, and I'll see if I can reach out to the former clerk. But that's where I'd start. But I don't think I have anything else at this point. I'm going to the Women's History Month luncheon. I've convinced several other people I know to go, so I'm excited about that. Several women will be there with their own entrepreneur booths, which is good. I don't know if it's sold out yet or not. Oftentimes it does.
I was going to try to buy a ticket today because it said by midnight, March 20th, and I couldn't purchase an individual ticket today, but it said closed. So I don't know if it's sold out, which would be great. We
Right.
still offer support, but I was going to email and see if I can still get a ticket. So
Yeah. Okay. It usually sells out. They usually garner. You've been before.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they usually garner 500 to 600 people. So it's usually a well-attended event. So.
Alrighty. We will move into old and ongoing business. These are the updated meeting dates. I have them here it's a resolution of the Monroe County Women's Commission establishing our meeting schedule, which date's the third Thursday of the month. I had some dates wrong. I was a day off on, I think, 2 months, and we need to redo it. Then all of us in present will be able to sign this. I don't know if I should read off the dates or the resolution. Yes,
You should read the
necessary.
resolution. Yeah.
Probably should. Whereas it is necessary to establish the regular meeting schedule of the Monroe County Women's Commission, whereas the Monroe County Women's Commission desires to continually hold regular meetings throughout 2025 to fulfill their duties as an advisory role to the Board of Commissioners in addressing issues of gender inequality in all aspects of society, including government, the economy, education, employment, social and family development, healthcare, the justice system, the arts, as well as land use and planning. Interesting. Whereas the Monroe County Women's Commission desires to establish the meeting schedule documented herein, and the meeting schedule should be provided to the Monroe County Board of Commissioners office for annual advertisement. Now, therefore, be it resolved and established that the meeting dates and time, location of the Monroe County Women's Commission for 2025 are as follows. Meetings will occur the third Thursday of each month and will commence at 5:30. These dates include March 20th, 2025, April 17th, 2025, May 15th, 2025, June 19th, 2025, July 17th, 2025, August 21st, 2025, September 18th, 2025, October 16th, 2025, November 20th, 2025, and December 18th, 2025. Unless noticed differently, the meetings will be held in the Nat U Hill Room 3 meeting room at the Monroe County Courthouse, located at 100 West Kirkwood Avenue. Upon adoption of this meeting schedule, this resolution shall be provided to the Monroe County Board of Commissioners for advertisement in accordance with the Indiana Open Door Law. And I will send this to you, Molly. Do I have a motion to pass this resolution of our the remaining 5 meeting schedule?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Julie Hardesty,
I approve.
Molly Otto,
I approve.
Jennifer Belton,
I approve.
Tiana Roger,
I approve.
Maria Douglas,
Yes.
Susan Hingle, yes. Thank you, everyone. The resolution for our meeting schedule for 2025 passes. Obviously, I did not write that. It's nice, though. I will be using that from now on. I have no vacancy update or onboarding update to provide at this time. I have not touched base or heard anything from Commissioner. See, it's not just you, Maria, that can't remember anything. Commissioner Madeira, but I will contact, as well as Molly Turner King and I did touch base very briefly on the onboarding, and I will follow up with that as well. So we will move on to the policy subcommittee with Commissioners Hardesty and Douglas, where the purpose is to evaluate county policy using a gender equity lens.
So if we have, I think we've got time for this. I have what's basically being put together as a presentation along with a rubric, the rubric itself, and some guidelines to present to the Board of Commissioners. And I kind of was interested in showing this to you all tonight, and kind of almost like a practice run through the presentation and see what you all think, if there are any comments. That sort of thing. So, and Maria has seen this as well. We've been working on it together as in the policy subcommittee. So these pieces are kind of there, and I think I just didn't quite get to the point of putting them up on Teams for us, but I can put them up on Teams tonight after our meeting, so they'll be there for you to look at that way as well, and provide comments or edits if you want to. So anyway, I think probably like 10 to 12 minutes of presentation, and then I can share the documents on screen as well. If it's possible to promote me for sharing at this point so I can share my screen, that would be great. There. Thank you very much. Okay, all right. So you can contemplate this, presenting this for the Board of Commissioners, not something I've ever done before, so we'll see how this comes across. But this, on behalf of the Monroe County Women's Commission, I'm Juliet Hardesty, and along with Maria Douglas, we are part of the policy subcommittee, and we would like to present about the gender equity rubric. So to get a little bit of background on this, this kind of came out of work that the Monroe County Women's Commission did when we were considering issues around the new Monroe County Jail in terms of women and marginalized genders. And we were doing this work in 2023 and 2024. And we were arriving at topics that we wanted to make sure were brought up and considered around things like separate areas needed for safety based on gender, things like needing menstruation supplies provided, needing care for pregnancy, giving birth, and childcare when people are incarcerated, And then diversion support needing to include childcare support, and reentry support needing to include childcare support. So making sure those sorts of things were being considered when a new facility and a new system for the Monroe County Jail was being considered. Working on this, we started contemplating that this lens of supporting and improving conditions for marginalized genders could be used to evaluate policies and ordinances as well, and improve the lives of all county residents by centering and elevating gender equity concerns. So we are proposing this gender equity rubric to the Monroe County Commissioners as a tool that they can use to help mitigate these inequities and produce better ordinances and policies that are better explained and maintained for everyone in our community. And this aligns directly with the Board of Commissioners' commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin, and their affirmation of the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear, and to fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. So in constructing what we would provide as a gender equity rubric, we went through and we looked around reviewing equity and gender equity and how that is evaluated in various ways, and came across the World Health Organization with the levels of gender responsiveness that they provide, which was a really good focus for contemplating a rubric. USAID has documentation on gender equality in workplace policies that was really helpful, as well as the Oklahoma state government had an equity assessment tool, and the University of Arkansas at Little Rock had a gender equity assessment tool as well. And University of Wisconsin had health equity evaluation methods that were really useful to consider in terms of how we would structure looking at equity. And then in terms of the rubric itself, structuring a rubric and what does that mean, and how do you put this together to do any sort of evaluation, we also looked at things like Equality Can't Wait Challenge from Linda French Gates. It's a venture capital evaluation rubric that's just posted online, and was really useful to see how that was structured for doing a rubric evaluation. The Women's Democracy Network's Gender Responsive Policymaking Handbook also has a rubric example that we considered, and the Oklahoma State Government and the University of Arkansas at Little Rock both had actual rubrics that were posted online that we were able to see. And the UN Women's Training Center, along with the Commonwealth of Learning from Canada, all had rubric examples that were dealing with equity and looking at scoring and rubric structure. And then the final thing that we were considering in constructing this is how we wanted to define gender and look at gender. So, and for gender, we're defining it the same way that the World Health Organization is, as a socially constructed characteristics of women, men, boys, and girls. And gender can change over time and varies from society to society. So gender is not the same as an individual's sex, which is biological. That's dealing with hormonal and body parts. But sex can be involved in gender expression. So what we're looking at here is when gender comes into play in policies used by governments, workplaces, and organizations, because how people present themselves in these different social settings impacts how they see themselves in relation to these places. And likewise, societal expectations of gender roles and norms, especially in the context of historical workplace and government settings, impacts how government, workplaces, and organizations end up treating marginalized genders in particular. So that's where we're starting from. And then in terms of the rubric structure, for scoring, we decided to use the 5 levels of gender responsiveness from the World Health Organization as for scoring purposes. So those 5 levels we've got listed here, and we kind of assigned some points to them, and we were basically like, let's try this and see what happens. So if it's gender unequal, we decided that did not deserve any points at all, because that was actually showing a bias against a gender. So we started from there and then went up. So gender neutral is considering that the policy is saying that everyone is the same in law, but the practice actually favors a gender. So that's basically maintaining the historical status quo of how people are treated under policies. Gender sensitive is meaning the policy acknowledges that there's a problem, but it doesn't offer any solution. Gender specific is saying that the policy targets and benefits genders based on the needs, norms, roles, and relations. So trying to make things better. And gender transformative would get the highest points possible, 4, and that's the policy acknowledges differences in gender roles and norms and looks for ways to change those gender roles and norms based on the needs of each gender. So actually mitigating what the impact is of gender differences. So so you can see at the bottom of this slide, I've got a 64 total points maximum, and you'll see that matches up with the number of criteria that we actually have. But that's if everything scores 4 points for gender transformative, which is something that hardly ever happens when you're dealing with policies. So more realistic is trying to aim for the 3 points, which is getting 48 points max, and that's more of a realistic expectation for actually supporting gender equity. So in organizing the rubrics and what's actually scored, we went into 3 phases of policy development and use. So there's policy making and policy implications and policy outcomes. And within those phases, there are 10 categories with 16 criteria. So for policy development, we're considering who has a voice in creating the policy and who is actually involved in creating the policy. And policy use is how is that policy made available for people to find it and understand it? What kind of training or education is provided for implementing the policy? And then policy evaluation is there even an evaluation plan for figuring out what the impact is of the policy? How often is data collected, and what is the path? Is there a path for making changes if evaluation determines that changes are needed for a policy? So those are the areas, and the categories are based pretty heavily, I think, on the Women's Democracy Network Gender Responsive Policymaking Handbook, the examples that were provided there. And the formatting that we used for the rubric is based on the University of Arkansas at Little Rock's Equity Lens assessment rubric, which is now only available in the Internet Archive. They don't have it posted anymore. It was available when we were doing this research, though. So this is currently what the rubric, this is a screenshot, currently what the rubric format looks like. So you can see there's phases over to the left, and then within each phase, like the policymaking process, we've got categories of things that we're looking at. So commitment to gender equity, leadership and accountability, and a policy development process. And then within those categories are the actual criteria that can be evaluated. So this is kind of trying to group things a little bit to give people a way through to look at different areas of policy development and use. And then the 5 scoring levels are across the top to consider for that. And we try to provide some description and some explanation of each of the scoring levels to try and help things along. So it's in the rubric itself is in a spreadsheet file format, so it's possible to include notes and do scoring and add scores up. That's all possible and easy to do in a spreadsheet format like that. And we also have a guidelines document, which is just a text document that goes into more details on using the rubric. So hopefully the 2 in combination would make it something that's possible to get your head around and actually do something with. So that's where things stand with it at this point. And there's been a test run, and I will say it still feels very preliminary because it was like one person, and it was me doing a test run with this rubric against an ordinance that's already passed. So it wasn't anything that was in development. It's an ordinance that passed in July of last year. So it's an ordinance to amend the Personnel Policy Handbook of Monroe County, the Monroe County Judicial Branch, and the Monroe County Prosecutor, and it was to add a paid parental and family leave policy to the Personnel Policy Handbook. So this is just reflecting one person's evaluation. But overall, it was really interesting for me to go through this because I did not find that using the rubric that this ordinance rated very highly for gender equity, and it's a paid parental and family leave policy. So I rated it 14 out of 64 points possible, and even out of 48 possible points, that's still pretty low. So I found that the ordinance was mostly gender unequal or gender neutral according to our criteria. So At the most, it's maintaining the status quo and not identifying how it's helping women in particular. Missing from the ordinance are background information, and evaluation information, and any information that explains that this supports and levels the playing field for women and marginalized genders who were previously expected to handle this work of parental and family care without any acknowledgement or support from their place of employment. That information is not provided elsewhere in the personnel policy handbook either, where this amendment would be added. It's possible that this sort of information does exist in public meeting minutes or published news articles. So it's possible that this ordinance would have scored higher if that information was packaged with the ordinance or connected somehow to the ordinance. So it is quite possible that after an ordinance is passed, it would score more highly for gender equity. But this background information and subsequent evaluation information is not connected. And if it could be connected and made available as part of the ordinance's publication into law, that would be very helpful. This rubric, besides doing this after an ordinance is passed, I think just as importantly, it can be used to inform the conversation as ordinances and policies are developed. And that's probably a more useful place for the commissioners and county council to consider something like this as a tool. Because the Monroe County Women's Commission, this is what I'll be saying in the presentation, the Monroe County Women's Commission thinks that we can do better to support women and marginalized genders in having the same opportunities and benefits that men have had in Monroe County government work for a significantly longer period of time. And efforts like this will make ordinance development better for everyone and keeping everyone better informed. And this kind of transparency in policy construction will benefit everyone, not just a single group within our community. So providing more information with ordinances on how they came about and who authored them, and including specific plans for evaluation and follow-up, gives much better context to show that an ordinance is improving things for women and marginalized genders, which improves things for everyone. So the next steps for this are we hope to finalize these, finalize the rubric and the guidelines, possibly with another test run on a county ordinance or policy. I think it would be interesting to see this in more of a conversational setting where multiple people are trying this out. And then we're interested, if it's possible, to publish both the rubric and the guidelines on the Monroe County Women's Commission webpage. And at that point, it's a tool that is available for public use. So it would not be just something that county government or local government could use. It's something that businesses could consider, community organizations could consider, anyone that is putting policies into place. And this is, I wanted to put this together to make sure this was part of the presentation. These are the references that we used for, this slide is showing the references we used for gender equity and policies. You can see some of these at this point are not available anymore. They were available when we were doing this, and now they're only available via the Internet Archive. And this is the references that we used for rubric organizing. Some of these are also only available via the Internet Archive at this point. And so thank you to the members of the Monroe County Women's Commission Policy Subcommittee, past and present, for all of their work and research to put this together, and to all of the Women's Commission and our ex officio members from both the Board of Commissioners and the County Council for their review and feedback. And that's what I've got.
Fantastic.
I do. I want to like. It is quite a lot.
Very nice.
I can. Ooh, you know what? I can share. I shall stop that. So this is the template rubric. So you can see it really is just a spreadsheet. We've got these 3 phases with the criteria, and then it's lined out. And we've got, like I said, we've got some information, some tips on what to consider, what to look for potentially when considering scoring. And that's when I was doing it, I actually added a whole set of notes and things when I was looking through and was doing scoring and contemplating things. So I was going beyond this and just kind of making use of the spreadsheet itself. And then the guidelines, this is kind of a written out, explaining the different levels, scoring levels that we've got in place, and then the guidelines for use, which is actually we squished the rubric in again in the document just to give it another spot to live. So it's all here, but then after this part where it's squished into the text document, We do have this where it's kind of exploded out with some more explanation about the different phases and categories, and some of the indicators that can help in considering what it is that should be considered for these criteria. So in the policymaking process, looking at commitment to gender equity, in some ways it's external to the policy, like where is this coming from, what organization is doing this, that sort of thing. And oh, there you go. This goes through all of the phases and categories, to give some more explanation. And so this is just kind of going alongside the rubric itself.
Big project.
It ended up, it feels much bigger than, it's much bigger than I think what we were starting off considering. Yeah. But
Very extensive, very extensive.
You guys did a great job. Good job,
Yes.
Maria.
Yeah, good job. I agree. It looks really good.
So is your goal then, let's say, I'm thinking county government because I'm involved in that now. So is your goal then to have every ordinance pass this sort of litmus test?
Wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah, I mean, I don't know how realistic that is. It is a tool, and it's not necessarily something I think that would be the first thing in people's minds to use, depending on what the ordinance is, that sort of thing. But having this available and talking about it, I think there are definite, like this personnel policy, this seems like it would have been a really interesting case for that policy to have this rubric available when they were considering what they were putting together and how they were explaining it and putting it out there.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, yeah, I think, and just having it, your suggestion at our last meeting of, why not, can you just make it publicly available, was like, yeah, why not? Like, this is something that's not just something that government
Especially
can use.
since you want to share it to many different entities anyway, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as soon as you were
It could
talking
be-
like that, I was like, yeah, community organizations can use this for policies.
Yes.
Businesses can use this for
Yes.
policies. Anybody can make use of this.
Yeah,
So,
and that's something that the Women's Commission could take a lot of credit for, which would be really nice, I think.
well, and it's also something it's a tool, and it's mostly, I think it's more for the conversation and considering these points than necessarily we scored a blah 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 from the rubric. It's fine, It's more about the conversation, I think, that would be produced by trying to go use
You mentioned that
this.
you used other entities to look at, and so I'm wondering if they have something similar to this that you found, or whether this all came about because of all the other things you put together to make this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna have to go into the resource. I can never remember the name of the resource. The Women's Handbook, Policymaking Handbook, was I think a big. Gosh, where'd it go? Not the training center.
I guess my question,
There it is.
the reason I'm asking that might be if there was any way to figure out how they gauged what they put together and evaluated it after they used it, or other entities used it after it was put together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like the policymaking handbook, they would have a list of like checklists and things like that, but it wasn't necessarily structured as a rubric across a range of categories. So, and then having the World Health Organization with its levels of gender responsiveness really just kind of clicked. Maria, is that what you are recalling? That's what I'm recalling.
Yes, and I'm curious though if the question is more like what were our sources that had gender equity rubrics? Was there evaluation of that rubric and the outcome or impact of that rubric? I'm curious if that is the question.
Yeah, I'm interested in the effectiveness
Yeah.
of what was developed.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, and so I don't think we actually necessarily looked at that, but that would be something worth looking at. And in terms of this rubric, we probably should put it, take our own advice, right, and put in an evaluation process for that. I also, when we were talking about this, we dreamed of this maybe it was just me, I don't know, but I dreamed of this like a sticker, like a window cling or something, that if businesses wanted to use the rubric to inform their HR policies and their employment policies and things like that, and they did use the rubric successfully, like blah blah blah, then they would get a window cling saying that they were like a gender equitable business.
I think it's
But I
fascinating.
don't know.
So many questions.
Yeah, there's, I mean, yeah.
Well, and I think one of the things that is interesting, and I don't know how, because I haven't paid attention to how our local governments are responding, to the executive order from Mike Braun and et cetera, that how this is, I mean, not that it's not still important, but now we only have two genders. So so how does that, like, I don't know how we respond with that. Because I think it's still, I think obviously you can still use it,
Yeah.
It means the same thing. And I think a lot of people are just going to shy away from talking about marginalized genders, maybe.
The all signs point to yes, that's what they're going to do. I know even before the executive order came down, city council asked one of the commissions, maybe on the status of Black men or something, to take out some language. And Maria Douglas wants to go on the record saying that actions like that, actions that are made in the name of protection, this is not the time for that. The time right now is to be courageous and to stand firm and to push forward. It's not time to cower just so we don't get a target on our back.
I agree with that, Maria.
Same.
In terms of the question about the effectiveness of other rubrics that we encountered, if we are able to find information about that, is that something that would be worth adding into the slides as part of the presentation, you think?
Well, it might be interesting to know how it applied and was useful for other groups that use something like this, I would think, right?
Yeah, because I don't know that we specifically saw a gender equity rubric elsewhere. We found equity rubrics. It wasn't gender equity, but it was it was general equity, which could mean all sorts of things, I think. But
right.
And then there were other rubrics that were dealing with like the venture capital rubric was, I think it was looking at gender, but it was also very much focused on, business ideas and how does this business idea rate and that sort of thing. So there were some differences, but I don't quite know if we saw much that was about how useful rubrics that were out there had ended up being, if there was anything like that. So it'd be good to go take a look at that.
Is there still gender studies at IU?
Yes, I think so.
I wonder if there's something there that might be useful to have data on. I don't know. Just a thought.
Okay, thank you.
You.
I'm kind of wondering, like, when is this, I don't know what the next steps are for something like this, trying to take it to a Board of Commissioners meeting. Is it just we keep working on this, get this fleshed out a little bit more, and then email somebody?
I feel, and this is somebody who's on the outside of this and doesn't know, has not been a part of this process. I feel like it needs maybe critical eye.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's great as it is. I am not a gender equity, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the IU Gender Studies might be very useful for something like that, right? Is there a faculty member there who might be doing research anywhere at all that might be near this?
If they are and have time, that would be great.
I think they would be the appropriate ones to ask for sure. They might be really excited about it, right?
Yeah, I just feel like subject matter expert feedback
Yep.
would be appropriate before presenting it to the public. I mean, and obviously, as in my mind, everything should be a living document, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, as something goes, and it's going to be a learning process,
Right.
as this moves along, and having that flexibility. But to me, as educated as you guys are in the research that you did, I still feel like a subject matter expert should provide feedback first.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yes, I don't want to weigh that down with that possibility if it takes, 5 years,
Yeah.
but if you find the right person that would be excited.
Yeah, that's Maria. Do you think maybe we see if there's someone we can reach out to from the Gender Studies Department, and then possibly like our next policy subcommittee meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. I do like that. Thank you for the reminder of having that. I think maybe in our head we were thinking that the Women's Commission, like doing this today, was kind of a critical lens, but also yes, definitely a subject matter expert and take advantage of the university and what we have here. And the beauty of it is that there is no timeline. Like no one's telling us what to do. No one's telling us when to do, so we should take our time and let's get that critical lens and that expert feedback and go from there. But then after that, Julie, it's just a matter of getting on the Board of Commissioners agenda. Susan, do you want this to come back after the subject matter expert, or do you just want kind of like a report out of the feedback?
I think a report out would be great.
Okay.
I was just looking at the faculty. I think, it's just also, you two, or I don't know if we know, Liz or even Jody might know people if they look at this
I might know somebody.
yeah, that is a part of this that.
I was just looking at the IU Gender Studies Department. There are all kinds of people with, I would think, relevant interests. So there's a multitude of people I would think to choose from.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I was about to say. I raised my hand. I don't know how to raise it back down, but that's exactly what I was going to say. This is Tiana.
Well, as someone who just started taking a health equities course, I've learned what a landmine equity is and defining terms between equality and equity. So, but that's interesting. Anyway, it is amazing work. You all should be, I don't know, very proud. I think it's fantastic. Fan.
Thank you. We've worked really hard on it.
Right.
Shows.
Yes. And to me, the presentation as is was fabulous. I do like Liz's suggestion that having, if there are even some examples of similar work and how the effectiveness this is would be
It's almost
great.
like a testimony, right?
Yes.
So if you can find something that would give you some sort of testimony, that would add to your credibility, I think. Not that you don't have credibility, but I think it would add to it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
In the same sense as, the feedback, right? But also, so that policy that you found, and I don't even know, that's probably way outside our purview, right? Is trying to, if we ran that same thing through it and made it with a better score, what would that have looked like?
Well, and the question of the scoring, and is it the scoring that's important? Is it the conversation that's important? Like what is the important part? So
The conversation, yeah.
yeah. So for one person, it would have to be the scoring because I'm not talking to anybody. But But if it's a group of people, then the conversation, I think, would be probably more important than the final scoring sort of thing. But it would be useful either way, I think. I'm hoping, yeah. So.
Not that that wasn't enough, but are there any other updates the policy subcommittee would like to share or needs to share?
That's all I have. Maria, is there anything you have?
Well, the data subcommittee, Commissioners Hingle and Douglas, purpose is to become more grounded in who we serve through data. Well, we, in my mind, have our marching orders from Commissioner Hardesty today, which is great. I need the focus. I feel like I've been floundering. I get overwhelmed, and I think this will help define that purpose in a way to give me, and I'm not gonna, to give maybe even, the subcommittee some direction. So I like that. Commissioner Douglas, I don't know if you would like to add anything in there to that.
Just a matter of, I don't even know what, but I just want to let you know that I do not have capacity to work on the data subcommittee until after May.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Then we have the outreach subcommittee with Commissioners Roger, Belton, and Otto, with the purposes to elevate the profile of the commission and its programs. Wait, I'll just read it. I was going to summarize, but I can't. Elevate the profile of the Monroe County Women's Commission programs that support our mission. Our current focus is the web design camp. Do we have any updates?
I do. So I received an email before I went on vacation from the IU lawyer that the county's attorney is going to have some edits to the draft of the MOU. And she also clarified that the total funding that the county will be providing is $3,500 rather than the $10,000 that they had initially told us. And the way that IU will receive the funding is what they wanted to see if we agreed to, is if we would just submit the receipts and then we get reimbursed. And we said that was totally fine, as in Luddy said that was totally fine, and we can continue the collaboration. So I'm not sure if you all, I missed the meeting last month. So did any of you all hear why the money was reduced?
No.
No, we didn't get any information.
Okay,
about
well,
that. That's the first we've heard.
I didn't, yeah, that's all I had. I got an email from the IU attorney who's working with the county attorney. So that's the way, it's in an email, and I can dump this email into our Teams folder, but I had took a screenshot knowing that I was coming to this meeting. So yeah, that's the update I have on the camp. And it's moving, so yeah.
Tiana, I'm curious, is that 3,000, is that going to be enough to pay the students?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Okay, as long as
Yeah,
the
I think
students
so.
will get
Yeah.
compensated, I think we'll be okay. I mean, maybe we can do snacks, maybe we don't even have to do snacks, but I just was concerned, if, I know we had a nice group, you got us a nice group, and I just want to make sure that they're compensated, so.
Oh yeah, I think knowing that it's a collaboration with the Luddy School and the county, we're gonna be totally fine. $3,500 is more than enough. We'll be fine. I wasn't concerned. I just was curious on why it was reduced, but I don't think it's gonna stop our collaboration and doing the outreach at all. So that's the only update I have with that.
That's great. At least progress.
I'm willing to provide snacks for the event.
And you'll keep us
Yeah,
updated?
yeah, I think, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I said that's totally fine. What I was gonna say, Jennifer, too, I mean, it may not be necessary. Oh, let's see here. Um, it may, hold on one second. Sorry, you all, I gotta get over. Okay. So it may not be necessary because that's why I was like the collaboration. We can meet. I have more time that we can meet as a subcommittee and discuss what it looks like so we can start planning. I think as soon as the MOU is signed, I don't know if we're at a point that we're going to be able to do it this year or we push it. I don't know, unless it's some in the summer. That's something we should talk about because since they reduced it to $3,500, when does that end? Like, I mean, when does the budget reset? I don't know that. And what you all were thinking, so we can propose something to our the Women's Commission. So I think we need to relook at the dates, but I think it's doable, and it'd be nice if we could have started doing something knowing that they just were going to reimburse us. But I think that MOU has to be in place before we start the work.
Yeah, I mean, we need the MOU in place before we set any dates for anything, right?
Yeah, that's what that's what, that's what we're waiting on. So kind of unfortunate, but it's fine.
Anything I can do to support?
Right now, just what we're doing. I mean, I think I'm pushing it. Our associate dean, he's has a lot going on, and I understand he's very supportive of it. But he's just super busy. So sometimes the emails get lost in translation. So what I've done is I've been informing him and trying to respond on his behalf, and I'm gonna push it to someone else to also be able to respond because he's just inundated with a lot of work. So no excuse, but still I understand his load.
Yeah, I've never quite, yes, I understand too. Someone who works for an assistant dean, I totally understand. I have been always curious about the money and where it came from, always, because originally it was 10,000, and originally, how many years ago it was, we all started here, I thought it was a grant for some reason, but I guess, I don't know why, I always had that belief, but obviously that's not true, but I don't know. I don't know where.
No, it was just a line item in their budget. And that 10,000 was for 3 years.
Yes. And Maria, remember we had that long meeting with Molly and the nice lady, Dina, I think we met with them and they explained to us the whole process because there was a lot of confusion on a grant, but no, it was budgeted in their budget for $10,000, as Maria said, for 3 years, and now it's reduced to $3,500. I don't know where the reduction came from, but I think that's something we can ask about. I do think it's kind of odd that we found out from pretty much the IU lawyers that the money's going to be reduced when we should have probably been informed as a commission too beforehand. I think that was probably something we can ask Molly, what's going on with that? Or Dina, I don't know who the person is, but those are the two people that spoke to us.
As I look at our county council member.
Which Molly are we talking about?
Molly Turner King.
Okay, I know Molly. Okay, so what's the issue with Molly?
Oh, no, just go back and forth, but we're just trying to figure out where the money is and why it was reduced. And I mean, if the money is just something that we've never quite understood.
I would just ask Molly, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to speak on her behalf, but I would just ask Molly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to ask Molly why it was reduced from because I think,
exactly.
and we can go back in our notes from the meeting that we had, the extensive meeting, but why was it reduced from 10,000 to 3,500? And why wasn't the Monroe County Women's Commission informed?
Very valid question, I think.
Absolutely. But this is the second time that something, excuse me, of this nature happened that is potentially a big deal. Remember when they reduced us from 11 to 7 and we didn't even know?
Mm-hmm.
And then now our money's gone, gets reduced and we didn't even know? I mean, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Because it is kind of odd that IU's lawyers letting us know as a commission that our money has been reduced. She's like, oh, and I want to clarify. And I'm like, oh, well, we didn't know that. But I didn't tell her that part. I just said, okay, thanks. So yeah, if you can ask Molly, I think that'll be great.
Okay. Well, she usually watches our meetings, so I would imagine we'll be hearing from her. Which is nice because she'll tell us, she will correct a lot of information, which is very helpful. And you'll keep us abreast of a health fair and how we could follow protocols this time to get.
Correct. I'm just waiting on an email from Lindsay with some dates that I can bring back to the commission to see.
Okay. Perfect.
That's exciting.
And I have to point out, unfortunately, that, you know, I'm not in leadership anymore. So Susan, you and Julie will have to decide if you're going to go ask permission from the commissioners, if you're going to do that on the agenda, if you're going to do that in public comment, or if we're just going to do it again and ask for forgiveness later, because we're providing a service to the community, which in turn makes them look good.
Okay. Can I jump back to policy or outreach or all of this? We have, or I don't have to, but the new jail stuff is going through, and I'm just curious about if anybody's been paying attention to what happened and looked at the new plans and some of the comments that have been out there in the community already.
I'll be online. I haven't checked, but I understand they should have all been online after the 27th of February on the commissioner's website. We got presented a whole, the commissioners and the council got presented a whole, I mean, I have a stack. Yeah, I have a stack of all the materials from day one about this all. So if you really want to see it sometime, I could bring it in person, but it should be, as I understand, on the commissioner's website. That's what we were told.
I haven't even looked. I just know I heard that the plans came out and there has been a lot of people upset, but I don't know more information than hearing about the number of beds was too much and the rec center wasn't right, or that was pretty much all I've heard. So
yeah, nothing is cast in stone yet. Let's just put it that way.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be worth digging into in the policy committee regarding some of the things that we were concerned about for women and marginalized genders, and see if there's anything that
run it through the rubric.
Go.
Sounds like it's quite a lot of information.
It's a lot of information.
But maybe we can sift through that some and find and see if there's anything provided that gives details.
I was very I mean, in my head, I was thinking about the marginalized genders of the community that would be using these facilities and how that would be addressed in a way that, since that doesn't exist currently, how in the future that's, or however that's going to be addressed or not addressed. So.
Well, I think that they will do, I mean, that's a good question. And given the meetings that we've had with the sheriff and his staff and his team in the past, they will do what they need to do to keep people safe, like, period.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, we should look into it a little bit more. I mean, sometimes I see things come out B squared is back up, yay. And we, Julie and I, we look at some news articles and such, but we haven't attended an actual meeting yet. Liz, do we know, is there a transition coordinator appointed yet?
If there is, I'm not aware of it.
Okay. Because the sheriff was really wanted that position. And then
There could be. I just don't know everything.
yeah, no, for sure,
Right.
for sure. I mean, I think that's something that, because they would have to, well, no, that's already in the budget, but anyway.
Awesome. Wonderful. I have no new business. No new business is listed. Is there any public comment? No. Fine. Please raise your hand. Is 6:46, and thank you all very much for your very hard work. This is wonderful. Thank you.